You're with India Post Live, India's first online news communication and news conversation platform. It's a web portal just for you to directly communicate with each other, exchange points of view. I'm Ishan Russell, and that is what the aim of this program is, to get your point of view across to as many people as possible. So participate. You can easily do so through social media. You can go to Twitter and use our hashtag, that's India Post Live, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live, or you can use Facebook. Our Facebook page is there. You can go and log in and post a comment over there, or you can use indiapostlive.com. That's a website where you can watch this entire stream live, or you can watch this video later as well, and you just log in and post a comment over there. If you want to come into this discussion via Skype or Google Hangout, you're most welcome to do so. Just get in touch and we'll invite you in. All right, what we're talking about today is an issue that in India has been pretty controversial. So while there has been a lot of talk about rapes, yes, we're talking about rapes today, but a specific kind of rape that has almost been brushed under the carpet. That we're talking about is marital rape. Yes, it happens in marriages for sex upon partners. What is that issue all about? Why is India refusing to talk about it? Recently, there was a court judgment, and in fact, I'll ask my producer to play out newspaper clippings of many instances, because that is why we are talking about it. That all those instances that have been reported in the media about marital rape, yet as far as legislation, there is a question mark over there. So we'll be discussing all that with Mr. Arvind Jain. He's an eminent lawyer. He's a lawyer at the Supreme Court. He joins us in our studio. Thank you very much for coming in, sir. We're also joined by Pinky Anand. She's, of course, a senior lawyer at the Supreme Court, is a leader of the BJP, has been very vocal on women's issues. Thank you very much for coming in, ma'am. Ardhana Val, an independent journalist, and has reported a lot on marital rape, and has met many victims and done case studies about the situation. She'll be joining us live as well. And we also have Cheshta Rajora joining us. She's a student, and she'll be speaking to us live. Deepa Kumar, she's a social activist. She comes in as well. She's been talking about this issue. So really, if everybody's talking about this issue, why hasn't there been change in legislation? I mean, it's a reality, isn't it, Mr. Jain?
Yeah. In fact, being a student of law, what I understand the problem is, and which I have been arguing before Delhi High Court in one writ petition challenging the constitutional validity of Section 375, 376, 198, subclause 6 of CRPC, and then Section 6 of Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act. I started in 2008, and then Criminal Amendment Bill 2010 came, 11 came, 12 came. Because of those, that writ petition in Mahadev versus Union of India, but when it was on the final stages, Nirbhaya Khan came in, and the whole matter was, so hot, and it became. Then Justice Verma report, and then ordinance, and then ultimately we got this law of 2013. But in this whole process of law, the real issue of marital rape, which was before Delhi High Court also, that has gone under the carpet, and everybody has forgotten about it. To my mind, the problem is that in India, as on today, the marriageable age for a girl is 18 under all laws, 21 for boy, and now under the new law, amended law of 2013, the age of consent is also 18. Previously it was 16. But the exception of Section 375 says that sexual intercourse with your own wife who is above the age of 15 will not tantamount to rape. When we accept that marriageable age is 18, when the age of consent is 18, how we can discriminate and arbitrarily give a license to the husband to rape his own wife who is just 15? What is the rationale behind it? What is the logic behind it? What is the reasonable, connection? And what do the legislatures want? Do we want to preserve the institution of child marriage? In spite of the fact that we want to prohibit the child marriage, and we have brought in 2006 the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, wherein we have said that, the age of girl should be 18, age of boy should be 12, but there also we have left so many loopholes, If the boy is below 18 and the girl is also below 18, nobody has committed any offense and the marriage is valid for all purposes.
Right.
Unless and until it is void under section 12, under the provisions, where kidnapping has been done or force has been done. Otherwise, marriage is voidable at the option of both the parties. So we want to save the child marriage also, and we want to give a license to the husband also, that you have a legal license to rape your own wife if she is above 15. So to my mind, as a student of law, I think that it is absolutely arbitrary. It is absolutely violative of Article 14, that is right to equality and right to life. If I don't have the right over my body, after marriage, I don't have any right. What to talk of fundamental rights?
Right.
That is the basic question before me as a student.
Absolutely. In fact, and it is calling for stronger legislation. Pinky Anand, the BJP has been talking about the issue of Nirbhaya and the laws, the debate about it, the BJP, and you were very vocal in that. Now that the BJP has a historic mandate to really amend things, to change things around, is this a focus area? Because many would feel that this is something that the BJP in its nature, in its ideology, would be something it will be comfortable with in terms of what the court has also said, because the parties are not involved in husband and wife and it's not rape, and the marital rape often is could weaken traditional family values, was the argument that was given. So just clarify the party stand as far as this is concerned, please.
Yeah, let me tell you very fairly that I don't think for the time being I want to speak on behalf of the party, because this thought process is yet to be sat down with and discussed. So at this point of time, would not be fair to really take it as a party viewpoint. I can, however, speak about it in my personal capacity and as a worker with women, and as well as being a senior advocate in that respect. So coming to the larger issue of marital rape, there are two things. One is Mr. Jain has very nicely put out various issues which involve women under 18 or above 15, and the various contradictions between various laws and about how it entitles men to basically assume that they can have forcible intercourse with their wives, and it is not subject of any criminal prosecution under 376 because of the saving clause of 15. Now, having said that, I think I want to address the larger issue of marital rape.
Right.
It is something which has been concerning, I think, all educated and all people who are moving forward. And I think at the same time, we're struggling with this age-old notion of a woman being bound to have sex with the husband and literally her it being with duty to engage in sex with the husband and denial of the same amount of duty. There have in fact been some judgments on that count also. The denial of sleeping with the husband is ultimately a cruelty and therefore a cause of action for even divorce. And to this extent, I think you are having certain traditional issues which are coming up in question, and whether that needs to be, converted. The Justice Verma Commission, in fact, dealt with it, but at the same time, didn't feel that marital rape should be included in the category of rape as such. So today, you only have what is protected is under 15 wife is protected as far as marital rape is concerned. I think it's high time that this independent election, the right to elect, the right to submit, the right to have sex with your husband is something which women should be having a right over their body and the desire and the voluntariness of doing so. But that is something which requires to be considered at the larger level, in addition to the 15 and above 15 and up to 18, which Mr. Jain has been talking about. And the way the world has been progressing, aside from the fact that the world is progressing, I don't think we need to keep looking at the world, even though 18 countries have made marital rape an offense. And a number of them have even come in the recent past. For example, Malaysia has come down and made it a criminal offense. I think it's high time that it was considered. And the question of what some of the arguments are, that's another matter. But it's high time that the sense of recognition, the sense of independence, the sense of a democratic right comes into existence as far as wives and women are concerned.
All right, I want to understand how widespread the problem is and make our audience also aware of that. Aradhana, you've been somebody who's been speaking to a lot of victims of marital rape. If you could just recount how common this is.
Actually, the first thing when I did the story, the first thing that struck me was how rampant this really is. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So how rampant this really is, and not just rampant, how normalized it's become. want to admit, that they have been abused by their own husbands. So the first problem starts there. How do you make women admit this? That's the first step. So it's really everywhere. There are no class barriers to this. It manifests itself differently in different classes, but it's across all sorts of barriers that you'd imagine. And yeah, and the silence, because we hold marriage as something so sacrosanct that it's completely shrouded in silence. Women don't want to talk about it because there was this one woman who said that if I talk about this, if I make this public and I want to go to court, even if my husband's held to account, the entire community that I live in, the society that I live in, will point fingers at me. So you have social stigma, you have fear, you have insecurity. I mean, women don't have any place to go. Sometimes their families don't want to take them back. So I can't even, I can't even qualify how or quantify how rampant this is. It was just cropping up everywhere.
All right, Deepa has been somebody who's been working on this issue as well. Deepa, your perspective on the matter.
I think the use of coercion and force is unacceptable whether you're married or you're not married. So the use of word rape should be understood as force and coercion and not as when you're married or you're not married. So the law should see it, irrespective of your status. Second thing I think is that sex as a tool of power mechanism is unacceptable. And third, I think that we need to tweak the law a little bit, and we need to understand that the institution of marriage is a sacred institution. And the whole idea of body belongs to either of the parties is unacceptable and is against nature. And also, we need to change the way the society thinks. I think the woman should be independent, should fend for herself, should not force the man to, give her financial help. And also, the man and we should be brought up in a way that we respect each other as individuals. Mm-hmm. So I think if we sort of change the society from the very start when the baby is born by the parents, I think we can instill these value systems while we already know that the law is quite obsolete to take notice of the harm being done to a lot of couples. Even I would not say even women might be mentally forceful on a man and vice versa. So I think we need to sort of change the way we think. We need to rethink the institution of the rules that are set and also tweak the law a little bit.
All right, from a student's perspective, Cheshta, I just want to ask you, because I have a very interesting report in front of me, a 2012 UNICEF Global Report Card on Adolescence, which says that 57% of Indian boys and 53% of Indian girls between the age of 15 to 19 find nothing wrong in a wife being beaten if she hasn't cooked food well, answers back, fails to inform her husband before leaving the house, neglects the children, or refuses her husband's demand for sex. I mean, in your peer group, is there acceptance for, that once you're married, you have to compromise and accept? Is that the norm? And you might think differently, but in your peer group, is that the case?
No, I think I would largely owe that to the fact that I hail from a women's college, and there is, of course, there is no rampant ideology that is of this sort working. But as I would like to give my point of view, see, first of all, the thing is, we need to understand, it has already been discussed, that this issue is not country specific. It does not only happen in India. It is a larger issue. It is a social problem more than a legal problem. So we have countries which have inherited 1860 IPC, countries like Singapore, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Burma, India. These countries, they exempt spouses from prosecution in marital rape, right? So we need to understand that this is not a country-specific problem. This is a larger issue. Secondly, of course, because it is a social problem and it has been done through ages. The mother bequeaths this to her daughter, right? She tells her that if you somehow undergo something like this, do not complain. So even if we have laws in certain countries, I don't think so women are coming out and speaking against it. So because it's deemed customary, that is why it's deemed natural by society, right? Also, I think marital rape actually tends to concretize the patriarchal discourse that marriage is. It is actually working at the disadvantage of both the spouses, right? Also, there is an objectification of the woman, because women in all the cases that have been reported, women are at the disadvantage, and they are seen as agents for reproduction or agents to satiate the sexuality of the men, the sexual desires of men. So when they become the agents, they're objectified, right? So
Right.
these are certain points I think, and I don't think so.
All
Yeah.
right, you're raising very important points over there, and from a young perspective, from a young person's perspective, Pinky Anand, I'd like to get back to you. But I mean, the issue is certainly alive. But in terms of, do we see? Would you see this as a more a legal problem, or would you see this as a more problem of mindsets where you need to educate couples or your children more, or even in schools? I mean, the point is that the young girl was making over there, that this is what a mother bequeaths to her daughter, that this is the submissiveness. Do we need to change that in our education as well?
Ishan, this is not a legal problem at all. Legal and law, let's put it like this, actually addresses the social psyche and the social makeup as it happens. See, the rhetoric in the social circles is ultimately one of acquiescence and of submissions. And obviously, the law is kind of also going to worry about whether you want to actually change it. And in India, we have a very strong connect between the social norms, social ethos, and the legal process. That's why you find the changes, for example, and even for the fact that the marriage laws, for example, the way we still hold marriage together as an institution, which is totally contrary to what most other countries do, and where they have irretrievable breakdown. That's marriage is not really a sacrament for them or a sacred bond, but simply a contract which can be terminated as and when you want to. Definitely, it's not legal. Legal only follows. I mean, it's the chicken and the egg kind of situation. So, what comes first? So, mostly as far as these personal laws are concerned, not necessarily penal, but the personal laws interstate husband, wife, interstate family members. Dating speaking comes as an entire process of consensus, of acceptance, and of change. And I don't really think at this point of time you do have a society which is totally changed over. So then the question will be, if you can't change the social ethos, or if it can't be changed fast enough, then law is used as a compelling force. If you change the law compulsorily, obviously then the entire scenario will change, because when you give rights, and this applies across board, you give rights to any section of society, that section starts exercising it. I mean, the true exercise may take some time, but there is definitely an attempt to exercise it, so then it happens in the other direction. So this is the exact scenario with you. Either you have social change, you come to a point where this becomes a matter of thought process that women do not necessarily have to submit or to face violence or to face demands and to be facing wrath if that doesn't happen. The other way is to really consider changing the law and then take the consequences that happen. And believe me, at times, it's not also if there is a law that everybody is running to exercise it. But yes, availability of rights definitely leads to this issue becoming more critical.
All right, fair enough. In fact, we went out on the streets to ask people what they thought about the issue, and this is what they have to say.
I think marital rape is the highest form of legitimized sexual subjection of a woman, where often society believes it natural and often condones it because it happens in the bedroom of a lawfully wedded couple. And that is exactly what we need to attack and repeal. We need to give rights to a woman to enable her to say no, and whenever she dissents from any sexual activity with a man, even if he is a husband.
I haven't really heard about such cases, but if it does happen, I think it should be regarded equal to a normal rape, and the person should be punished accordingly. Yeah.
All right, but many would argue, sir, that marital rape could be misused a lot of times, and that is what the Supreme Court in its
let me tell you that 80 countries throughout the world has abolished this provision of marital rape, including our neighboring small state Nepal 2-3 years back. That's not the issue, that this law will be misused or not misused, because what is the law? And can you tell me any law which has not been misused by anyone? It is not. And we cannot say the Indian society of 21st century with the spectacles of 1860. Are we not perpetuating the culture of violence, domestic violence and rape right from day one in our house? And are we not perpetuating the problem of child marriage? And are we not saving this whole culture and making the whole women lot as a conditioned objective, under the garb of this marriage institution and sacred institution, and under the garb of, culture and civilization and all that, apart from that, whatsoever the society is, my opinion is that law cannot guarantee any person to rape his own wife, and that too a minor wife of 15 years. What is the logic? What is the rationale behind it? I don't understand it. And unless and until this thing is clear, there could be anything in the society. There could be violence, there could be domestic violence, there could be so many things that is happening. But law cannot guarantee that. Here the problem is that the law is guaranteeing that if you do it with your wife, and if she is above 15, it will not be an offense of rape, it will not be sexual offense, it will not be any offense at all. You go for a child marriage, you go for rape, you go for sexual offenses, no problem, no offense at all. This guarantee by law, this guarantee by the legislatures of India, this guarantee by the parliament, this guarantee by the law, that is not acceptable to me.
Absolutely, and it won't be acceptable, including to you, Pinky Anand, I'm sure. So, do we see people like you within the party take this matter actively up and see that something happens on this front? Would you, as a personal, this thing?
Rest assured, Ishan, issues that involve people and involve half the population of this country and in the world is something that we take very seriously, and definitely there is going to be a major process, because ultimately you're talking about violence against women. And when you were asking Mr. G, and I think he's answered very, very aptly, but really speaking, distortions of law, abusing of law, I just want to add to what he has said to this extent, that I have seen, this is correct to say, that when laws are put in initially, there is some possibility of misuse and maybe some over misuse. But the fact remains that time tends to sort it out. When you have abuse on the other side, you've been having abuse for centuries as far as this issue is concerned against women, and law has tolerated that, in fact, being guaranteeing it. So now you want to take a time when the law guarantees that it will not be violated, and frankly, if there is some misuse of that provision, let's say which of any law for that matter, I think time settles it down. Courts tend to come down with judgments to interpret the law and to come down with a situation which actually finds some kind of consensus.
Then, Pinky, let us scrap all the laws of child marriage. Let us allow 15 years old girl to marry, and let's allow the 15 years old girl to give consent for sex also. Or why to discriminate only with the minor wife? Why?
Supporting your statement, I don't know where you're getting this from. I think you've misunderstood something. So let's be very clear. But I have been saying this.
Don't you feel that allowing by law this legal guarantee that you can go for this is ridiculous. This I don't understand.
Ishan, I think I was very clear about the.
I think he was questioning whether you were. I think you were agreeing with his point of view only, right? That as far as the law.
Exactly, I agree with him. All I said was in addition to say that time settles down questions of abuse or misuse in any given period of any proposition or of law. That's what I was just adding on.
All right, but do we see, Pinky Anand, do we see you take this issue up as marital rape as a big issue for you within the BJP? I mean, it's a historic mandate and you have the opportunity to actually do something about this. So, I mean, the young participants over here, and hopefully they would still believe in marriage and want to get married one day, but they would certainly want that guarantee against such kind of abuses.
Absolutely. I think it's a critical issue which we need to address, and I would definitely like to take that.
All right, great. So at least we have confirmation from the ruling party that this issue would be taken up. But Cheshta, does that satisfy you? Do you think changing the law around would help?
I completely believe that we all need laws to be reformed time and again as the society modernizes and changes and transforms. We want the laws to reflect our mindset.
All right, great. The laws to reflect our mindset, I think, is the truest thing. I mean, with our penal code is from 1860.
Yeah, that's right. But the problem with the new government, I think, is that with that patriarchal mindset and Hindu mindset and from belief in old culture and civilization, I don't know whether the present government would be more progressive to amend these laws,
All right, so I think I would let Pinky Anand answer this. Your colleague Pinky wants to know whether the present government is, would it be willing to? Would you meet with resistance?
And you will see more evidence of that down the line. So yes, there is extreme belief in culture and tradition. Some of these issues do have to be sorted out. It's not as if there is anything which is an unequivocal guarantee that something is going to happen. We have to weigh the various conflicting concerns at time, but not to wash away, and not old culture, please. The culture is culture. There's no old, new or otherwise to it. The point is we have to face up to the demands of what is happening in society today, and the faster we do it, the better it is.
All right, fair enough. I think that's a positive note, but I'll give you the final word, Deepa. You've been listening in very patiently. Is law the only solution? You raised the important issue of education as well. So in terms of solutions, how would you, if you had the opportunity to, with a magic wand, what would you do?
I think the whole, the way we've understood marriage is ridiculous. I mean, I'm from a family which is, has been very conservative, but we are a group of three girls and we have all worked on it, and I was married once, and the way whole institution was a surprise to me completely. I was in a women's college, and the way I was educated was very different, and so I think it's ridiculous, because if that's the force you use, I will not respect the husband and the husband will not respect the wife. So we need to educate is very important, and using force and rape being allowed by the court of law is a very ridiculous idea. And I think I will not believe in the institution of marriage if this is what the rules are. These are the rules. So yeah, I mean, I'm not in favor of the law. I'm not in favor of the institution if this is what it says. So yeah, I guess a long time to go to have things changed.
Fair enough.
Apart from educating the young generation, I think it more important to give them the legal right. Because unless and until we have the legal right, we can't go further. Because that becomes a barrier, and that becomes a big hassle before us. We must have a legal right, and we should not be discriminated. Women lot, if we want that they should be emancipation and they should be empowered, then this barrier and this discrimination in law should be scrapped. This should go from the statute book.
All right, and Pinky Anand is committed to actively pursuing this within her party, and her party has a historic mandate. So in case you also want to come in and tell your voices, opinions to Pinky Anand, please go ahead, tweet out to us. We'll ensure that she shares them with her party as well. Thank you very much, Pinky Anand, for coming in. It was a pleasure having you on the show with an open, honest mind. And we look forward to your commitment towards this issue and see how you actively pursue this. Deepa also thanks very much for your perspective, and also to Aradhna and Cheshta for coming in. Thank you very much, Mr. Jain, for coming in. So the pressure, I mean, is really on you, the viewer, because if you want marital rape to stop, if you want it to change, if you want the law amended, you have to do something about it. The least you can do is at least write into us, tell us what you think about it, so at least this can become a larger issue that the country starts talking about. On that note, we'll wrap up. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming in. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and we promise to discuss many such more issues that perhaps many in society think should be best kept under wraps, but perhaps not. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.